Tell us a little bit about some of the messages in the movie in Miss Arizona. Why is it Miss Arizona? I mean, obviously, there's a crown involved, and all of those things, and so I'm sure there's a story behind that. So,
yes. So the idea came from, so we live in LA, like right around LA, and the idea is that Arizona is 5 hours away. It's 5 hours away, and this woman had this dream to be an actress. That was her dream. She entered pageants, and she was brought up in this world to sit still and look pretty, and she married a talent agent and thought, I'll get to LA, and then I'll achieve my dream. And then we learned in the movie that very quickly her husband doesn't quite support her the way she had hoped, and she kind of succumbs to traditional mindsets where, well, he's not allowing me to be who I want to be. He's not allowing me to find purpose. And so she's depressed. She's looking for something. Yeah. And then that's what catapults her on this journey. And she meets these other women. And in one wild night, they all find purpose and renewed strength in each other. But
gosh, I wish it could happen in one wild night. Right? We only have a couple hours to get the story.
It's exactly true. So together they all, there's so many themes about, like, they just all are 5 very unique women from different situations, and one of our characters suffers from PTSD. She can't even speak. She's silent throughout the film because of the abuse she suffered, and she's the woman who may not be, she's a fabulous actress, but her character may not be the most stimulating on screen because she doesn't speak, but she is what I found is the most realistic type of the people I've met in these shelters. There's always in every class, there's always 1 or 2 women sitting there who can't speak. And the song Quiet, which was the unofficial theme song of the Women's March by the artist Milk, came out about not staying quiet. Yeah. And and not just for yourself, but for others. And that was the song that actually motivated me to write this film. And so it was so exciting when the artist was so happy to let us license it for the film. That was really exciting. But so that's the theme of strength and empowerment, and in no way are we trying to knock pageants. I actually grew up in Tennessee where that was part of a culture, and I was involved and was a Miss Tennessee a long time ago, but there's little like homages to, I love to pageant films like Drop Dead Gorgeous, Miss Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality, that's what I was thinking.
We pay tribute to some of our films with she puts Vaseline on her teeth, and we have some moments like that. But another theme in our film that came about and really launched the writing of it was again, it was in November 2016 where we were watching what was going on in the world at that time with perspectives on women and women in the media. And on the night of the election, my friend, it was her birthday, and she loves drag shows and wanted to go to a drag show, and I'd never been to one, and I went with her, and it was in West Hollywood, and there was a bar, and there were TV screens everywhere, and the election returns started coming in, and I'm at a drag show watching the election go away different than maybe some of the people in West Hollywood thought it was going to go. We were all a little bit nervous about what was about to happen, and I was so overwhelmed by the feeling in that room because as it became quite clear who was going to be our next president, these drag performers started going around the room and hugging and kissing everybody and saying, it's okay, it's all about love. Let's just continue to be loving. And it was kind of this shocking, settling response that I didn't quite expect. And it really just, I was a little fish out of water that night. And I thought, wow, people from all sectors, all these, marginalized people of society can come together and build each other up. And so that's really where the film kind of came together. We're like, let's put Miss Arizona in a really fish out of water zone. And so we do have a highlight of our film is a drag pageant that she goes and watches and becomes involved with in a way. So that is where that theme came from. But like how everyone from all walks can work together. And something else that was important in our film is there's a little bit rich man, poor man, or rich woman, poor woman stereotypes going on. But in the end, she finds that friends from all of her areas of life come together to help. Yes. And that's something else, like there shouldn't be a class where like, oh, these people get it and these people don't, but like we all can help each other and step across lines.
There's a good line we were talking about last night that even in the filming of it, it didn't resonate as heavily as when finding the end film, but when she says, I have problems too.
I'm a mama too.
No, I'm a mama too. I love that line. But when the lead's like, I have problems too, even though I'm a upper class, and it's like, I get it. It's so easy to discount problems when your problems are of that nature, but it doesn't discount the humanity involved. And I think it's easy to say, that's not a real problem. But for her, it is. For her, it's a real problem. And it's so good to find that outreach and that connection to like, you know, she can use that. I think there's a stereotype about money, how it's bad. Mm-hmm. But I think that comes from a place of fear about money, whereas money can be brilliant. Like,
use your powers for good.
And you can spread it out. You can help people. I mean, that side of it often gets overlooked. And I think this film really explores the side of money that's like, she constantly is, but I can fix that problem. I can help that problem. And that gives her joy. Yes. So to be able to use that message too of like, everyone's problems are different. It doesn't discount anyone's feelings. Mm-hmm. Like, and through other people's problems, her problem gets fixed, you know?
I've seen some films, even ours, pokes fun at the idea of ladies who lunch, like the philanthropist wives, or the philanthropists themselves, and you know, we've been to those luncheons, and truly those women are changing the world. I mean, you go, and sometimes a check is what is needed. You know, sometimes it's getting in the shelter and doing what you gotta do, and sometimes it's a check. I mean, look at what like Bill Gates has done for the Melinda Gates. You know, what they've done for the world. You know, sometimes it is that. So everyone has to take what they're given, what they've been presented with, and use it to help others.
Use it to help others. I love one of the things. So many amazing themes. First of all, thank you so much, because I think that there's all kinds of fabulous things to tribe forward is what we call it. What you love to do. And one of the things that I love is that, you know, as a filmmaker, you're bringing your life to your experiences, even if it's a fictional story, obviously.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things that you talked about in this diversity of women coming together, and also from our different tribes, because we don't all have one tribe, right? You've got different tribes, and then they come together in different ways, and some people like each other and some people don't, and that's fine too. But you know, you're illustrating that how important that diversity is, and that inclusion, and bringing everybody together in that place. And also your point of, you know, we've all got stuff, right? And we talk about it in social media, because that's where a lot of people are constantly comparing, like, oh, I'm not doing that, or oh, I should be doing this, or oh, why is she always wearing white on a beach with her family? I could never do that. It would never happen to me. And I don't think it's the responsibility of the person, like you're talking about philanthropy, I don't think it's the responsibility of that person to put all their stuff out there. I think it's the responsibility of us to know they've got stuff. Like, yes, because I'm going to capture that perfect moment, right? Because it might be the only one I had all day long. And I'm going to put it out there and maybe like, okay, in grand scheme of things, in perspective, life is okay. And so just knowing that we all have stuff. And the cool thing about movies like yours, they get to dig into the stuff and remind people of like, here's what it looks like on the surface, here's what's really happening underneath, and here's how we can work together to change it.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I love it.
That's the goal.
That's so good. All right, so where are you on your circuit?
We world premiered here yesterday, so we were like, woo! And we actually really wanted to premiere here. Like that was something we were excited about doing. We reached out to Bentonville. I knew somebody who worked with the festival from a past festival while we were shooting, or actually she reached out to me and she said, this looks like the kind of film we'd be into. And I said, I think so. I think this film embodies what Gina's mission and Trevor's mission are. And so we just are launching here. We have an LA premiere in June at another festival that we'll be announcing this week. And we do not yet have distribution, so we're just starting that cycle of seeking distribution.
Plug.
Yes. And we find, like yesterday, we have sold out audiences here, so it's so fun. And yesterday it was so fun, first of all, to sit in the first room with people who you don't know, who are watching the film, and like hear. They laughed where we laugh. They cried where we cry. And that was so exciting. And to see that, like, a film like this does have an audience. And our goal with it, really, we talked about this quite a bit last night, is to raise awareness. You know, it is a comedy. I mean, I know it's weird to say that. Oh, yeah, it's about domestic violence and it's a comedy. But it's you know,
meet people where they are.
Yeah, exactly. And and life is a comedy. I mean, isn't it? But you have to tackle these issues in a film sense, with a somewhat of an air of levity at times, unless you're doing a talk, but just because it's like there's some heavy issues here. But we do want to raise awareness that there's the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, which does so much to raise awareness and provide help, and then there's the hotline and these wonderful assets for the world. And there's also, in every town there is I mean, and this is where we can't help everyone identify their hometown, but there is somewhere in your town where women are getting help in crisis. And one of our big causes is, like, in our film we talk on this, a lot of the shelters don't have room for the children to come with the women, and that's why the women don't go. Women often don't leave these situations because they're afraid of losing their kids, and that's what our film's about. And so we have to, like, do what we can to help these situations where women can take their children with them, and get out of these terrible domestic arrangements where women are being abused.
I definitely hope that the film moves forward in a huge way because of that underlying message. And I think that it's so relatable, and women don't talk about those situations very openly. So having it in a friendly environment and being able to connect and know that they're not alone is an amazing accomplishment. So in addition to the film and all of the hopes that you have for the film, so what about your personal work and what you guys are going to take outside of the film and carry on? What are you guys going to be doing?
Well, for me, this film was, it's my first feature that I've directed, and a lot of that was to gain experience and a calling card for future projects. And so I have another feature I've written that I'm preparing to direct hopefully next spring. Okay. And very excited, another female story about a woman who's trying to balance her art and her children, which is a very common theme that I think
the story is coming from.
Some of us relate too. So I do have 4 children, ages 10 through 17, one going to college this fall, which is exciting, and they're amazing human beings and very supportive and are part of our world, our creative world, and have their own creative ambitions, which is exciting. So so that of course keeps me busy, and I also run a nonprofit that helps women and children in crisis, and we do work for the homeless. So it's called Aspire Higher. And it was started in honor of my mother. That was her motto. That was her license plate. And Aspire Higher. So my sister and I, she runs San Diego and I run Orange County, California. And so we actually link families to volunteerism causes. So that's like I spend a lot of time with that. And so for me, I feel like life's short, and when you have so many family obligations, you have to be very careful about what you select to spend your time doing creatively. Yes. And so I try to look for projects that have a sense of altruism and do goodness so that I can show my children it's worth it. It's worth it for us to work on this together.
It is. And follow your dreams and your passions. Yes. I think that's, it's not all about the money, even though we do good things with money. Women do. It's statistically proven. We do good things with money, so give us more.
It's true.
Hashtag give us more.
I like you.
All right, so within the film and outside of the film, what are you up to?
Well, within the film, I'm happy to support. I mean, Autumn, I came to support her in this vision. Yeah. I mean, it's really her baby. She is amazing. Like, Autumn's go, go, go. I don't know, with 4 kids. Like, it's really inspiring, and she inspires a lot of women with that. And I have 2 little ones also, and I said this in the Q&A with this film. I produced a lot of films, and I'm mostly working with men, which is, I love working with men. I also always try and bring my women on my team. But I will say the biggest difference with this film, which really touched my heart, was the support that usually I feel a little, I mean, it's a struggle, like if your child needs something to have to be like, I will leave set right now for a second, I have to go do this, or I'm going to bring my child with me, or there's now beginning to be an understanding. But on this project, there was no qualm. My little girl slit open her forehead the day we were starting shooting. I had been up all night trying to figure it out. I came to set with sunglasses on just to check in because I was like crying. And there was zero amount of any sort of stipulation on that.
Yeah. So often I'm listening to this audiobook by a really well-known comedy writer, Nelson Bell, and she talks about how women have to pretend they don't have kids, where men get applauded often if they leave for their kids' soccer game.
They're like, you're such a good daddy.
Father.
You're
and
so sweet.
In an interview, like, I've done it. I've hidden the fact how many kids I have because people wonder. Keep going, sorry.
No, I know. That's exactly the point, though. For years with I primarily started as an actor, and then I've gotten a lot of work as an actor, and I work a lot as an actor, but I also love finding projects that I want to work on and that feed the creative process. So I produced films for people that I love. And but yeah, as an actor, when I first had babies, I didn't have that on my bio. I felt like somehow I would be not given opportunities because they'd be worried that I'd have to take care of my children, and it shouldn't be like that. Like, you can do both beautifully. It's not, and they give so much depth to everything. My writing is so much deeper. Like, the acting, I have so many things to pull upon. Like, there's such little sources of like, and it, like,
they're
everything.
part of you. And
Yeah,
they're
they're so amazing
to the project.
They're an asset,
Yes.
honestly. They're a creative asset,
are.
and they shouldn't be looked at as anything but. And there needs to be more women who do these jobs, especially women with children, like, to show our kids that we can do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, one of the things that when you're creating an environment like that, and we call it saying yes to you first, right? If we can just say, you don't have to say no, just say yes to you first. And encouraging that in our friends, in our, not making each other feel guilty for the things we can or can't do. Like, I'm not going out tonight because, and just saying, you know what, that's good because you're taking care of yourself, and I encourage that.
Yeah.
And creating those cultures is amazing. And I do think that it's not, again, this isn't a man versus woman, women's culture versus men's culture,
No, it's just
or anything like that. It's when
The
that
ideas.
whole culture can be created and lived in for men and women.
And I do think, and I'm not putting this on men, like, I think
no.
we do it to
Oh,
ourselves,
I didn't
honestly.
think that you, I didn't think that
like,
you were
I have had
getting
such
to that.
supportive
Yeah.
men, and I do think it's just a paradigm shift as far as ourselves, how we look at it, and putting it out there. This is awesome.
Yeah, and men love it too. They're
But, like,
yes,
film festivals,
let me
like-
go get to my little league game.
That article on about a filmmaker, I can't remember what festival, but they like made her baby buy a badge and she couldn't get anywhere. And I'm like, this is unacceptable. Like, this is not okay. It really fired me up.
Yes.
I'm like, it's hard enough to travel with a child. We went to South by with a film that my husband worked on and Autumn worked on, but I did the red carpet and I literally had vomit all over the bottom of my dress. And I didn't notice, but my little one was sick before I left and I was cleaning it up. I'm like, this is hard, guys. You can't make it harder.
This
You
is
can't
as
make
real
it harder.
as it gets.
They're like, what are you wearing? I'm like, this is vomit. Anyway, but it's great that you guys have an awareness and are trying to shift the paradigm, which is so important. And what Autumn preaches and really gives out to people and gives out to women is so important.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. This
Of course.
has
Thank you.
been amazing.
for having
It's
us.
like soul filling and brain filling, and
We have a new tribe.
thank you. We do. We do. A wonderful new tribe. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and I'm hoping that everything is going to go stupendously.
Sometimes I need to unplug. Sometimes I've got to reboot. Sometimes I just want to sleep. But I always want to connect with you. Get into Brew Moods, aromatherapy lotions powered by a mindfulness app.